Here's my song. Let's sing it. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Come on, it's gonna be fucking awesome. You know the words. It's gonna be fucking awesome. That's it, sing. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Yeah!
Howdy, 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 everybody. Hey. It's me, Jesse Blaze Snider, the coolest geek alive. How are you doing, my fellow coolest geeks? I know it's been a rough time out there for a lot of people in the world, and to anybody who's going through anything difficult right now. Care Bear stare. I hope that we all get through whatever the hell's going on right now for the better. We shall see. Anyway, I love you guys. My chipper attitude when it comes to politics or whatever it may be, there's always a certain contingent of people, and a certain contingent of them probably who I know and love, who are in support of whatever's going on, and there's a certain amount who's not in support of what's going on. And so no matter what is going on, I kind of always just go, well, I hope it works out. I've talked before about feeling very much like there is a hyperbolic sort of mischaracterization of your average American going on, that we're racist, and I really just am hurt by that as an American. And I kind of want to talk about Captain America today. And before I talk about Captain America, I feel like I should set up first, like, what America means to me. I mean, just to give you an idea. And I am not perfect. I don't mean to say that I'm perfect when I suggest what I'm going to say. But I am a sort of devout altruist. I make mistakes, but my goal is to be not right because I'm right, but right because I'm right. I like to do the right thing. And part of that, too, is what usually comes with that is a bit of an innocence. I'm pretty sure I'm somewhere on the autism spectrum, but like super, super high functioning. So I ate up propaganda when I was a child. And the rah-rah good vibes about America and what America meant was awesome. I loved it. Truth, justice, and the American way, and the American ideals, honor and bravery, and, us as these World War II saviors going into this other country to stop people from being racist and terrible and awful, and we were heroes, and I loved that shit. I loved it. Years later, as I got older and I saw the things that had been done in America's name, and now to the level of things that I know that have been done in America's name, it's rough. I mean, America and or the country, it's when you really start to understand what this quagmire of a system we have is, it's not what you think it is. It's like this sort of tapestry of interests of relatively poor people who are poor in comparison to the people who are really in the power structures. And now the power structures are so combined. The forces are so combined. The control is so complete in so many ways. It's really a tyranny that we are under. It's so difficult to speak about it in short change. I have a troll who loves to post on my Facebook. It's very funny, and he keeps accusing me of what is it? I guess vagueness. And Yeah, because I'm not posting for him. I'm posting for people who know what I'm talking about and relate to what I'm having to say. I'm not trying to have a debate or really convince anybody. Maybe I'm trying to establish that I'm there with these opinions that seem so outlandish. Read some fucking books, man. Not ones that the establishment wants you to read, the ones that they're like, oh, no, don't read it. But read a number of them and then compare all the fucking books. And you'll just see that just everybody's living in the same system. And then also, how about work in like a dozen different systems like I do? I worked in comic books. I work in voiceovers, but in voiceovers, I work in like a dozen different fields. I work in video game voiceovers. I work in animation voiceovers. I've worked in commercial voiceovers. I worked in narration voiceovers. I worked in promo voiceovers. Worked in books on tape voiceover. All different fields, all different sort of thing. Music, construction. My ex-wife's whole family was a construction. I worked for years for them. There's more I could keep listing. I do a lot of things. I've done a lot of things. All the businesses, they're the same. Same patterns. And then, there's so many adjacent businesses that all my best friends live in and work in. My siblings work in and live in. I was accused of lying the other day from somebody, some comic book creator. I was like, maybe want to punch him in the face. That's not a cool thing, accusing somebody of lying. That's really like that's fighting words. And doing it on the internet is a real pussy move. I don't recommend it. I'm going to ask him for an apology when I see him at a convention in the future because it's fucking lame. Lame. Have a conversation with somebody. It's just like this calling people racist shit. It's just crazy. If your arguments are not capable of standing up to scrutiny, they're not good. So go back to the watering hole and come up with some better ones, or work to adjust the argument and the conversation being had. Don't argue for things that don't, roll themselves out. It's crazy. People are crazy. So, look, the truth is terrible about what has been done in America's name. However, Captain America did not do those things. And Jesse Blaze Snider did not do those things. And before I was turned on to Captain America, and I will tell you, I mistook Captain America like so many people do. Before I got into Captain America, because I was very disillusioned by things, and have only been more disillusioned over time, as I felt so self-righteous, let's say, about something like World War II. And unfortunately, when you look into these things, there's a lot of things that I'm like, oh, I wish we didn't do that. 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 What? We did what? It's just war. People say war is like, oh. Yeah. And every fucking war is funded by the same money who never gets prosecuted at the end of any war. The same money is prosecuting all sides, is profiting from and funding all sides of every war. These are the same people who are funding these gross experimentations that went on during World War II, and then during Project Paperclip, all those fucking scientists that they were fucking funding, where do you think they were getting the fucking money to do this crazy shit? And I know everybody wants to blame everything on fucking vegan Hitler. Everything's very convenient. There's just so much propaganda and so much stuff. It's hard to trust any of this, any of the things, I have to take it all with a grain of salt. All of it. The crazy things with a grain of salt. The things that most people believe with a grain of salt. Take it all into consideration. But there's a lot of things out there to consider. And I decided that I still believed in what America was supposed to stand for. I decided very quickly that on some level, at some point in time, I would do something to be a part of making fucking sure that America did stand for honor and courage and reason and truth and justice and all these things. Those were wonderful fucking things to stand for. Why can't we do that? It's unfortunate that I've come to find out how little we have. But on some level, every motherfucker who is dying for this country is doing it because of that. Because they think that. They think they're that. I've had such a relationship with the troops. You know, now I would tell you, like, oh my God, of course, I just fucking love the troops. But like the punk rock person in me, as I was hearing and seeing what we were doing, I wanted to hate the troops. And at first I did. I was sort of like, these fucking ignorant assholes are going out and like dying for the stupid fucking causes and these lies and all this stuff, you know. But that's not fucking fair. I was missing the fact that the majority of these people have a good idea about what they're doing, or at least try to have a good idea. Maybe they're doing it because they're being offered, you know, college credits and things like that. As you know, there are other reasons why people sometimes will join the military. They want to learn a certain skill relatively easy or whatever. But many of them are true believers, the way I am, but not poisoned by the knowledge of what is done in our name so often. And you shouldn't hate all of them blanket because one or two of them might be any of the things you think they might be. What do you fucking know anyway? You can't verify that. You know, when people demonize the Republic, a bunch of, like, there's so many different types of people who are Republicans. It's really crazy. Just sort of like blanket labeling anybody. It's labels. Labels are so bad. They're so bad. I was talking about this the other day, the they-them thing. Like, the they-them is wonderful. And I know some of you guys are, oh, grown. Really, Jesse, you believe in they-them? Hear me out for 2 seconds. They-them is a limiting capacity. It's narrowing the field. Just they-them. It is an intellectual way to sort of like root out a little bit of sexism built into the language, built into various things. This is something that exists in other languages already where they haven't necessarily broken up all the things into his and her and whatever else. That's a novel idea, and it could do some good. However, when you open that up to zay, zim, zug, zug, and whatever other fucking things you want to throw at it, this is literally the antithesis of why they, them would be good. It's like insane. Okay, yes, that's a good logical answer. Then this other thing is a literally like a counterbalance to it as to completely destroy any good that the first thing might have done. Let's make it all about me, 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 me. We all have pronouns. I'm Jesse and you're whatever your fucking name is. It's ridiculous. You know, and I'm non-binary, by the way. Like, I'm not fucking straight. I've never felt like a guy or felt like a girl or felt like anything. I feel like a robot compared to most people. And, you know, just collecting information. And, you know, this place is bonkers. People are bonkers. So anyway, before I met Captain America, I was a personal patriot who was completely disillusioned by America. But I didn't want to destroy it. I wanted to fix it. I wanted it to be the thing that it was supposed to be. Spent all this time telling everybody what America was supposed to be. And America sucked. It is not cool. We are not cool. We're doing our business bad. We're not groovy. It's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate when you look into just motivations and real things and whatnot. It's terrible. But I'm still a patriot. I still want us, I believe in the ideals of America. And I was reading comic books. So I read Savage Dragon. That was the one book I read all the time. And I read that month in, month out from early on in the Dragon Run. My first issue was the miniseries, the third issue of the miniseries that was first released by Eric Larson, and then I read his book. I read his book over and over and over again. Read the letter section over and over again. I loved how much he loved comics, and he really made me love comics in a similar way. And I loved this. I still, to this day, I will recommend to you the first, the 3-issue miniseries, the half issue, and then there is 75 issues of just this is mastery of a comic book form. It goes off the rails a little bit after that. It gets back on them, kind of, but it never quite recollects the wonderful momentum that it had. It was such a great book. And that book made me love comic books. And then I started working at 7-Eleven when I was like 15 or 16. I think 15 was the year I did PAL. I was selling raffle tickets for PAL, but I made terrible money and I quit, I think, after a week or two. After I got my first paycheck, I was like, this is all I made? I am sweating my balls off. Fuck this. Because I was underage. I think it was like the age to work in New York was 16. So 16 would be 7-Eleven. And 7-Eleven, we sold some comic books on the news rack. And I had heard that Deadpool was really great, that it was really funny. So the early issues of Deadpool, early-ish, when Joe Kelly was still writing, issue like 17, I think was maybe the first one. Like I picked up on the stand, and then I slowly went back and like bought the other ones. Maybe earlier than that. No, 11's the Spider-Man thing. So that's probably about right. 17, yeah, probably around there. And I loved that book. And then as soon as I started reading Deadpool, the advertisements in the back of the book were open to me. So I immediately got turned on to Marvel Knights and the X-Men relaunch, where it was like partially some way through a relaunch with Joe Kelly, the writer of Deadpool, who I loved, and his buddy Steve, whatever, I forget the other guy who was writing the other book, but they have a company together. Anyway, I jumped on these books and started reading, and but I was into the dark characters, and I would follow writers, and I wasn't super into like the Avengers idea and Captain America and Iron Man and Thor. Like they were the characters that I was just least interested in. And Spider-Man wasn't a favorite of mine, but I loved Black Panther, who I got introduced to in the best way through the Marvel Knights Christopher Priest series, which I really, really loved and really made me like that character. And following writers would eventually make me find my way to different characters. But I remember being very anti-Captain America. And by the way, this is to say I was a Marvel fan for a while before I got into DC. But I'm equal fan of both. I'm like I wouldn't pick one over the other, I wouldn't say. And actually, if I had to pick one over the other, I might pick DC. There's a purity of what the types of characters that they have over there and the types of stories that have been told and can be told that I really like. That isn't quite there at Marvel. But I love Marvel, and that was my beginnings. So I remember talking to a friend one day, and I said something to the effect of, I was hating Captain America the same way I was hating our military people for sort of like being ignorant of what they were fighting on behalf of, the fucking military industrial complex and all this shit. And I was just sort of like, I just can't respect anybody who always toes the government line no matter what happens. And they said to me, well, that's not true. Steve Rogers, very famously, when he realized that there were very major things going on in the government that he didn't agree with, he gave up the mantle of Captain America and he became Nomad for a while. And I went, really? And he was like, yeah. At a certain point in time, Steve said, this is fucked up. I don't want to represent this. And then basically came back around to somebody needs to represent what it's supposed to fucking mean to be an American. I was taught that it was something good. I'm devastated to find out that it doesn't mean something good for a lot of people. And that's awful. Let's fucking do something about that. Well, perhaps I should be Captain America and I should show people what that fucking looks like. I love that. Makes me cry. Because that's what I said when I found out that we weren't the awesome America that I had been told we were supposed to be. And that I thought was a good idea. And I decided I wanted to fucking make sure that that was true one day. In the same way. Not by not being an American anymore. And, what is it? Cursing my own country or separating myself from being an American because things are being done in our name that suck. But by being a truthful, honest person of integrity that wants everybody to succeed and isn't so stupid to believe that that's not possible. I've always known, I know a lot of people have always known, we could live in a better world. I love superheroes because on some level they represent that. And some of them represent it beautifully, as Steve Rogers does, as Kal-El, son of Krypton, represents the American way. Not the American way as the stupidity and the badness of the things, the American way of the good things. Most people who grow up learning about the American way think of us fighting Nazis and Martin Luther King saying we want everybody to be judged by the content of their character. I believe that most Americans believe in that. Just because a lot of people live sheltered lives and they don't have a lot of black friends or something like that, and they are ignorant in one way or another, does not make them racists. And what a terrible thing it is to do, to treat people in that way, how separating and how much further apart that puts us. There's so many better ways to go about these conversations. Unfortunately, these conversations are dictated to us by a much higher level of insidious thought, so that the cake and the circuses always have our bellies full and our eyes full with meaningless shit. However, America is supposed to mean something more than that. I believe that it does. I got into Captain America shortly after that. There's a ton of Captain America runs, actually, that I'm dying to read. I just haven't been able to get my hands on the books. And I'm not like super familiar with the creators, but they're like a lot of different runs by, one of my best friends, Aaron Sparrow. I don't know, I guess Aaron's like 5 years older than me. A little older than me. But he's like a generation of comic reader older than me because he was reading younger than I did. I didn't enjoy reading for a long time. So like I said, I only read that one comic for a long time. 15 was where I really kicked on. And then I read religiously for years. For I don't know, probably 2 decades or something. Something like that. No, let's see. What realistically? At 15, I really started revving up, and it started revving up pretty quick. So let's say by the time I was 16, 17, going to 27, so that's a decade, I was still kicking ass. But maybe I pulled back on a couple things. So, oh no, we'll say a decade to a decade and a half. I'm not certain. Of really, really hardcore reading. And then I've still read on and off trade paperbacks, and occasionally I've gotten into it for like a little bit and read a few books here or there or whatever. I keep trying to get a better habit going, but I haven't had a lot of things that have been bringing me back to the store, and I've been like just a little bit finding a new way in my life. So it's just been if you've gone through a time where you're finding a new way, it's not the greatest time to form new habits. So, that's how it is. But I love Captain America. And Steve Rogers, Captain America, it's what he does. It's that character. It's Peter Parker and his Uncle Ben, and with great power comes great responsibility, and having to learn that the fucking hard way. Really the hard way. I could have done something. I callously chose not to. And I've learned not to be a jerk now. Granted, I don't like Peter Parker ultimately for that reason. I hate that he wasn't somebody like it wasn't like he had no power to do anything, and he could have gotten really hurt. And then instead Ben got hurt, and he wasn't brave enough to like put himself in front of. But he was Spider-Man. He had the Spider-Man powers, and he just went, "This ain't my problem." That shit was lame. And like he's a good guy now, but he's a dickhole beforehand. I don't like that guy. He's not my favorite. He's not my favorite. My favorites, just in case you want, Wally West, Dick Grayson, those are probably two of my favorite characters of all time. Earlier favorites was Colossus. I loved that he was an artist. I was trying to be an artist at that time, more so than a writer. And he loved his sister, and I loved my sister. When I was 15, my sister was born, and I was really like attached to her. And I like bonded with Colossus. Of course, when Colossus turned to a bad guy for a little while, I was like, "Oh my, Colossus! No, not Colossus! You've ruined my favorite character." But it's cool, man. It's cool. I like Colossus. The Juggernaut. Even though as a character and his use in things has never been great. But Black Panther actually is one of my favorites of all time. Black Panther and Matt Murdock, they're two big favorites of mine. Black Panther because he's a king and a member of the Avengers, which is like, sort of like I have an obligation to save the world, but I also have an obligation to my kingdom at all times. I really like that dual obligation thing, having to honor your kingdom, but also having to do the right thing no matter what, which was sort of like, I don't know, I think it's the situation everybody's in, like we're trying to honor our families or whatever it might be, but we're also trying to do the right thing no matter what, or a good person is. So I really like T'Challa. And Matt Murdock just, man, the stories there were great, even though like I don't like Matt as a character so much. He's a dick. But there's some great fucking stories. Great stories and very interesting dynamics and, things to learn. But he's a favorite character who I don't like. But Captain America really quickly rose to a favorite of mine. Reading, especially Ed Brubaker, who he wasn't the first person that I read on Cap, but he was the first person that I read on Cap where I was just like, this is great. He really got that attitude of Cap, that Cap represented the fucking best of us. Just somebody who heard these American ideals and was like, that sounds good to me. I'll sign up for that. He was this man. And just so happened, he went on to become Captain America, but it was the man that really made Captain America Captain America. And they end up killing Cap, and they bring back the Winter Soldier, which was great. And I mean, I love Cap, I love Steve Rogers, but I heard Nerdrotic saying the other day that people were going at his comic shop at the time that they don't have to bring Steve back. Like you can keep Winter Soldier as Captain America. And I felt that way at the time. I was like, don't rush this. This is great. Like this, it's like nice to bring Cap back. And actually, when they brought Cap back, they brought him back initially just as Steve Rogers, and gave him like a general type position in Shield. I think maybe he took over for the Nick Fury position or in some similar position, which I really liked. I liked that upgrade a lot because Steve Rogers was really meaningful, and Bucky was trying to atone for something. It gave him something to do, a meaningful something to do, to represent his country and to do the right thing and to live up to Steve's legacy. Falcon, when they eventually gave it to Falcon, he didn't have as much to do. And the choice was a little arbitrary. If it had been less arbitrary and more meaningful in sort of the way it had been passed on to Winter Soldier, it didn't exactly go over at the time. I want to segue this eventually into talking about the Falcon Winter Soldier thing, but it wasn't. Nobody was upset about it really. Like it was just sort of like it didn't seem natural. We really liked Falcon. I think everybody kind of says that. Like I like Falcon. I like Falcon a lot. I like Falcon as a person who gets why Steve Rogers is fucking awesome. I'm worried that this movie's not exactly going to be about legacy. I said, one of my favorite characters is Wally West, the Flash. One of the reasons why I love Wally so much is just the honor that he gives to his patriarch, Barry Allen. Barry had been dead, very honorably died trying to save the world during the Crisis on Infinite Earths. And he went from being Kid Flash to being the Flash. And that was this great, meaningful thing for him, to live up to this legacy of his uncle, Barry Allen, to live up to the legacy of the Flash. That is meaningful. That is worthy. If I was going to write the Falcon, that's how I would have written him becoming Captain America. I have a great friend. I love him. I miss him. Oh. I have a great friend who I love and I miss. It's fucking easy to write from that place. That's meaningful. If this new movie isn't that, the opportunity is really missed to do something important and meaningful. As unfortunately, Falcon's kind of clean as a whistle. He doesn't necessarily have a lot of flaws working against him, and making his skin color his flaw working against him is lame and racist and just like, no. Like, the whole idea should be that, like, the time has come and fuck yeah. And, like I thought of, like, this should have been a scene in the trailer where somebody said, "What are you, the Black Captain America?" And he just went, "Nope. I'm just Captain America for everybody." Something like that. Like reverse this shit. Be the unifying symbol. That's what Captain America is supposed to be. A unifying symbol. Standing up for what is right, no matter what is right. I've been sort of like demonized by my peers who half of these fucking people, I promise you, I am more liberal than they are. Far more fucking liberal than they are, and I have been fucking practicing what I preach my whole damn life. I am a weirdo, and I want the weirdos to inherit the fucking earth. But there are ways to go about doing things that are honorable, that are real reasonable justice and cool. And that's how I want to see things done, not this fucking pushy, whiny, crazy, hyper, extreme liberal thing. The clever thing to say is that, like, they changed the conversation. I didn't change. And that is the truth. I have not changed. My reasonability on love and affection for all people, all things, has not gone away. But when you become unwilling to hold your people accountable for things they're doing, that was the line for me. That was the line for Captain America, Jesse Blaze. Jesse Blaze, Captain America, I'm a centrist because I love all people and I don't want to hurt anybody. And I've always called myself a centrist because I never wanted to go, I'm with them. Because that sounds like, when you're playing this game, it sounds like you're against the other people. So, if people really would press me, I would say, well, look, generally I vote Democrat, but I love everybody and I'm willing to chat about things. And I would always hear everybody's opinion. So for me, I was, largely just voting Democrat, though occasionally threatening to vote independent, for like a Jill Stein or whatever, because I care about the planet and I want to see real change happen, for the health of my children and for everybody. And I'm a very progressive person, and I was supporting Bernie Sanders along with so many other people at the time. And we watched as the DNC dastardly maneuvered to take money out of Bernie's pockets to give the election over to Hillary. When this came out that they were doing this, I don't know about you, but I was shushed up so fucking quickly in complaining about it by my friends who considered themselves Democrats. Like, no, we need Hillary to beat Trump. And mind you, I also knew that Hillary was not going to beat Trump, that Hillary had been fucking, she had done so many things. She has done so many things, guys. If you still think that Hillary Clinton is a good person, please, oh my God, please, just read some books about, and from any of the people around her. It's crazy. It's crazy that people still think she's a good person and that they're still putting her out there into the world. It's one of the main things that make me think that the Democratic Party is just ruled by the evil because she is no good. And they just keep pretending like she didn't do anything. And then they stole the election from Bernie Sanders for her. And then everybody told me to shut up. Captain America became nomad. Fuck you, Democratic Party. This is fucked up. If you're not going to hold your people accountable for their past fucking transgressions and the fact that they literally stole this and are trying to steal the momentum and the real interest in the Democratic Party that is not coming from Hillary Clinton, it's coming from Bernie Sanders. I don't know what would have happened in that situation. I was very disappointed hearing Bernie talk the other day, and he wouldn't just admit that, yeah, he's got a certain amount of fucking compromising position from the money that he accepts from the various people who work within that industry. So, but whatever. There was energy there, and they did a dastardly thing. And they put out candidates that have been shown to not be trustworthy on lots of levels. I mean, this Nancy Pelosi thing, it's like the whole Democratic Party should be like, we cannot be seen to be doing such things. Insider trading? Are you crazy? This is the party of the fucking people, and you're insider trading, Nancy Pelosi? Get the fuck out of here. That's what I thought the Democratic Party was about. That's what I thought we were doing. What the fuck are we doing? We're protecting the criminals? Fucking crazy. It's crazy. And I'm still a fucking centrist. I'm not a fucking Republican. I'm not a fucking Democrat. I'm not a joiner. But demonizing this whole group of people for not being fond of some of the things that... Oof. I'm not with that either. I'm not excommunicating the Trump supporters in my life. I'm not playing that game. I think that's poison. I think that's terrible. I can't believe that idea has become prevalent and pat you on the back. Yeah, solidarity, brother. It's like, don't you see you've become the evil that you sought to fight? It's awful. It's awful. So, where are we with this new Captain America movie? They've shot it, I guess, at least twice with some additional things, I'm sure, here or there. It's been sort of blown up out of proportion, maybe how many times they've shot it at this point. I think maybe I've said multiple times because there's been so many reports. but they've certainly spent some obscene amount of money. Early reports are that perhaps it's mid to not so great. But it isn't anything that anybody was asking for. It's not an adaptation of the now classic Captain America, Falcon becomes the Captain America comic books. And I say now classic because they haven't become classics. They're not sought after issues. And I'm not talking about the first issue and maybe, I don't know, maybe the second issue, whatever, by collectors or something. But they're not like sought after trade paperbacks. And the trade paperback sales are really the thing. You know, collectors buy individual issues. People who want to read good stories buy trade paperbacks. And if you go and you look at the numbers for those things, the Captain Americas that you'll see being ordered the most by bookstores and comic book stores across the world remain similar. The Winter Soldier and the fucking Ed Brubaker stuff. I'm sure the first Brave New World thing, I'm sure it's getting orders. I'm sure blah, blah, blah. What are the sales? The sales of the comics were not very good. I don't see a lot of heat on those things. And I'm somebody who buys things. So I understand, you know, I go into comic book stores regularly. I go into toy stores regularly. I have an idea what's being sold, what's not being sold, how things are doing. And I travel. You know, it's like you can't bullshit somebody who lives like fully in this world and immerses themselves in the things that they love deeply. And I do. That's why I can get on a microphone week in and week out and talk for a fucking hour about any number of geek culture subjects because my brain is a steel trap when it comes to basic concepts and things. And I love this stuff. And I've dedicated a lot of time to understanding it and appreciating it because it's my favorite thing to understand and appreciate. Because at its best, it teaches things like this. Steve Rogers, Captain America, they're ideals. Steve Rogers isn't a person. Nobody is ever going to fuck up in real life and prove that, oh, Steve Rogers was a piece of shit. The audience, like me, we can memory hole when they make Steve Rogers fucking Captain Hydra. You know, of course, they're going to use that in the films, and we fucking hate that shit. You took our ideal and you corrupted him. And, you know, it's okay sometimes when they do that in some instances, but the ultimate emerging truth needs to be that Steve, always and forever, represents what we would like an American to be, what we hope our soldiers are going out into the world being. Captain America's not going to abuse or rape any of these people in the Middle East. He's not going to go to Ukraine and freaking just save himself and maximize, you know, fucking civilian casualties. Steve Rogers is the quintessential American. Is that what Sam will be portrayed as? And will he be portrayed as somebody who recognizes the great, wonderful thing that Steve Rogers represents? Or, unfortunately, do I fear that because Steve Rogers is a white, straight male, which is a very unfortunate thing, label to put upon him, because he's a wonderful ideal for anyone to live up to. Any trans man can look up to Steve Rogers. Any trans woman, any gay man, any gay woman, any child, anyone. Steve is trying to be what America is supposed to represent. He thinks those are good ideas, and he wants to live up to them. Fuck yeah. This is why we love Steve Rogers. The big problem here is that they successfully showed us this in the films. Steve Rogers is that for people who get him deeply. I didn't get the sense when I watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier on Disney Plus that, if you didn't watch it, that Falcon's tenure as Captain America was going to be very much about honoring Steve in the way that Steve was honoring the message. I especially am nervous about it after hearing what's his name? Mackie. Sorry, I have a friend who has a similar name, and I'm replacing his first name. Sam Wilson is played by something Mackie. I like this actor. Okay, I like him as the Falcon. I think they really kind of gave him a shit end of the stick, making him Captain America right now for a lot of different reasons. In the comics, Winter Soldier becoming Captain America was great. It was awesome. Like, they really should have just rolled with what they had there if that's what they were going to do. And brought Steve back eventually like they did. Anthony Mackie. So Anthony Mackie was interviewed, and he went out of his way to separate America from the good qualities that Captain America is supposed to represent. And I don't want to misquote him or whatever. You'll have to find the interview, and you could say that he's being taken out of context and he's in another country or whatever else. But what he meant to say was, I think that the ideal of what America's supposed to represent, not what it has unfortunately represented in practice a lot of times across the world, but what kids in school are taught in America, that we're good guys and that we're supposed to represent honor and bravery and truth and justice. That's what he meant to say. But at the same time, I hope that's what he meant to say, because that's not what he said. He separated the truth and the justice and all of these things from America, as to say Captain America meant these other things. Like, those things are inherent to all of us who love Captain America. In Captain America, I believe Captain America went over as much as he did. Like, I mean, he slowly did, and he did more and more because of that. Because he becomes nomad in the Marvel universe, because he doesn't go along with the thing. He's in the Civil War and the government's against him. The fundamental thing about Cap, that he does what he thinks is right, what he thinks the American ideal is and should be, represents. And he's going to live up to that no matter what. That's it. That's Captain America. We just got that. My expectations for Captain America 4 are pretty low. I've been really bummed out about the books that I've seen written, and I really have just not had the stomach to go and be preached to by people who I think ultimately have the wrong idea about this using free speech to destroy America thing. Use free speech to maintain America, because we're the only place that actually has free speech the way fucking free speech matters. Don't destroy America. We need this conversation to keep going. We need to be able to be here to speak about the tyranny that we're under and everybody else is under. If you destroy America, we don't have a fucking place to speak freely. It's like the one fucking important thing. They can propagandize us all they want. They can give us all of their little sound bites and all the things that they want to try to say to us. But it's just fucking noise, man. As long as we can keep talking amongst each other, we can go to conventions and concerts and whatever else. I see thousands of people every month. It's crazy. You can see lots of people and interact with people and have conversations with people. And it's interesting there too, because comments get put on the internet and then you have to see those people. And I don't mind it, but I can see that they sometimes mind it. Everybody's got to learn to live and let live and have conversations in this world. and stand up for equality and truth and justice in a real way. Captain America punched Adolf Hitler on the cover of magazine number 1. That's the white straight male you're looking for. He's the one who's willing to bleed for our liberalism. He is putting his money where his mouth is. Superman is similar. He is representative of the thing. Use them to represent the thing. Don't use them to chastise those who have behaved badly before. They have not behaved badly. Steve Rogers has done nothing wrong. Clark Kent has done nothing wrong. He does not deserve your scorn for trying to represent the American way done right. They do not deserve your scorn for trying to represent American ideals done right. I love the American ideal, man. I like to think I'm living it every day of my life. I'm an independent businessman who thinks for himself. I work in various industries. I have a lot of great friends. I'm an honorable friend. And I have honorable friends. I have a great relationship with my ex-wife, wonderful relationship with my kids. These are things that I want to have because I think it's right and just and good. And I want to be good because I like the American ideal. And I want to represent it the same fucking way that Steve Rogers does. And I hope that Sam Wilson's Captain America will represent that America that I love and that I know you guys love too. Anyway, thanks so much for listening to the show. I have my music show, which I haven't done any new episodes of, but there's still like 55 episodes of my favorite bands. All your favorite bands suck. You just can't listen on Spotify right now because we got banned from Spotify because the clips we were playing were too long. It's journalism. I'm literally just like promoting the band. It's so silly. Anyway, but like 55 episodes are still available every which way but loose. And on Friday, you can tune in to the latest episode of Everything They Don't Want You to Know. I don't remember what I did last week's episode on. Something. LGBTQ community, actually, I think. I came out as non-binary officially, even though anybody who's been listening to the show for a while, I mention it when it's like appropriate to talk about because it's just like, so stupid. People are just so quick when you say something against their narrative thing to be like, you represent all the things that I don't like. No, I don't. I don't fucking represent all the things you don't like at all. I'm a very inconvenient person calling you on your shit. It's a super inconvenience for my non-binary ass to be calling you on your shit. My Ashkenazi blood-having ass to be calling you on your shit. It's very inconvenient. I understand. Because no, I'm not like them. I'm not one of these Republicans that you're so worried about. It's crazy. You're being brainwashed. And it's like if you think that I thought these things because I'm part of the Trump thing and Trump was brainwashing, I am not a fucking Trump supporter. I was one of the first people who wrote out against him years ago. When he was running for president, he was using We're Not Gonna Take It as a song. I was like, this motherfucker does not deserve to use this song. You can go find it on my Facebook somewhere. I'm somebody who has been looking deeply beneath the surface of this world for a good 30-something years now. And oh my God, I found a lot of shit. Shit you'd probably want to know. So, listen, every Friday, Everything They Don't Want You to Know. I gathered this information so that my family and I would be in the best possible position to, do good in the world and protect ourselves. And I'm giving this proprietary information to you. Because somebody has to, because it's fucked up. Lots of shit's happening in secret. Tune in, listen to all the episodes. Anyway, I love you so much. Thank you so much for listening to the show. I hope you will join me on Saturday when I will be reviewing something. I watched something the other day that I really liked, and I want to do an episode on it. I don't remember what it was though. So until then, join me Saturday or next Wednesday for another fucking awesome episode of The Coolest Geek Alive. I love you guys, and America! Okay? Yeah. America. Love you. Peace.
You've been listening to Coolest Geek Alive with me, your host, Jesse Blaze Snider. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for more excellent geek culture content. Thanks for listening.
It's my favorite part! Isn't that heavy? I'll play that! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Coolest alive! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Stay with your tribe! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Revenge of the Geeks! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Week after weeks! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Laughing with you! It's gonna be fucking awesome! And crying sometimes too! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Spelling it out! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Making you shout! I'm a genius! I got lyrics coming out me bum for days! You like that? It's a kazoo solo! I played that too! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Talking some shit! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Living the shit! My voice is fucking awesome! Foot in our mouth! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Get in the mouth! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Tell all your friends! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Call right on text! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Raising the bar! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Straight to the stars! It's gonna be fucking awesome! It's starting soon! Straight to the top of the awesome! Passing the moon! It's gonna be fucking awesome! On with the show! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Ready, set, go! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Fucking awesome! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Just wait! You'll see! You'll all see!
The Podcast Playground. Hooray!